And the photographer, whoever he was
finally
pressuring.
Something I remember.
You remember that?
Finally, something familiar story. Something I remember.
The photographer pressured everybody. You know, everybody has to make jokes. What is this, like, you know, Levaya? We're trying to make a video over here, and everyone has to be funny. And everybody wasn't so funny, according to him. And then Yitzi came up, and he said, Yitzi, I heard about you. I know you're the life of the party. You're going to be the funniest of them all. And Yitzi didn't want to be funny, because Yitzi is deeper than that. He's funny when you're supposed to be funny, but there's a time that's deeper than being funny. And Yitzi said over a story that I think closed that video in a way that nobody who saw it will ever forget. Yitzi said over a story. Do you mind if I say that story?
Please, my wife over
There was a time when Yitzi remembered that somebody was pushing Baruch in a wheelchair.
He was.
And the person went
Yitzi
a little bit fast outside.
Yitzi was pushing him.
The bottom line was, whoever was pushing Baruch to the doctor's appointment pushed a little too fast, and he wasn't belted in, and he slipped out of the wheelchair, and he was already in a matzah where he couldn't catch himself with his hands. So he went right on his face on the pavement. Big Kitzer, he needed stitches, and Hatzalah came, I took him to the hospital, and he was in the emergency section over there, the emergency room, and the bacher was in the waiting room, waiting for them to call him in, and all of a sudden a nurse comes out, and the nurse says, your father wants to talk to you. And it's a scary thing. I mean, what's a father going to say? He had all this Yisurim, and then he needs this with stitches? Like, who wouldn't have a Yisra Hara to say something in such a matzah? Who wouldn't except Baruch? He goes into the waiting room, and he says, you have to see that sight. He was cleaned up a little bit in his face, but there was still blood on his shirt, and he could barely talk except for a whisper. He was waiting to get stitched up. And his son bends over him, and he whispers to him, don't feel bad about what happened, because you have to always remember, Hashem controls the world. If it happened, it's good. I think that Meiser shows not just how he reacted to getting stitches, it shows the chayach that he drew from, which all of us could learn from and aspire to, of how he reacted to nisyanis that boggled the mind that none of us could ever fathom. And it's very sugapas, it's very appropriate that on the Shloshim, it says by the Shloshim, the Neshama finally gets the Shemayim. Before that, it goes back and forth, whatever it means, from the Kever to the place where he lived. And by the Shloshim, he's zeichet to go to Shemayim. And the Tzaddikim are the ones that go to that middle Dina that the Grua says, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes to the Tayalim and Tzaddikah. He goes there for the Shashuim, the Grua uses the Lashon, to enjoy his beautiful Tzaddikim. I am sure that now that the Shloshim and Baruch did get into Shemayim, there's very few neshamas that HaKadosh Baruch Hu get that nachas from and that enjoyment from the Eilam that he can from Baruch. And we always finish by saying, Tehei nafshe tzrura b'tzrura chayim, what Abigail said to David HaMelech. She was a Neviah, and she wished him that his neshama should be bound forever with the source of life. Tzrura b'tzrura chayim, the bound of life. He wished that by every person that's nifter, but who was more bound to life, even when life was being pulled away from him, like Baruch was, till the last minute. He loved life to such a degree. I remember when you, Mrs. Berger, asked him if he was happy that you went so hard and went so far to save him, when he almost was nifter so many times, and instantly he nodded yes. That's a person who is bound to Tzurah Chayim, even down here. Kol Sheken, now that he's the pure neshama that we saw developing here, and he's now just up there purely with his neshama. Tehei nafshei tzura, Tzura Chayim. Amen.